Well, hello everyone. For some of you whom I saw last week, welcome back. For those of you, it's the first time you meet me. It's really nice to meet you and welcome. Welcome to our school. My name is Juan Du. I'm the new dean of the Faculty of Architecture, Landscape and Design, and it is my honor to welcome all of you here, and as well as the city. And it's very befitting for us to be able to celebrate this particular space because it is. I'm trying to see if I could. Because it is as important part of the school, and I hope it's also an important part of this neighborhood and the city. And we really see this as a community space and public space for all of us to gather together. So first, I would like to offer a land acknowledgement. First, I wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island. We're very grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. And today we're gathered here to celebrate a milestone in the continued evolution of the Daniels faculty and the unveiling of the Paul Oberman Belvedere, made possible through the philanthropy of the Lewis Downey Oberman family and the Kimmel family. I will be joined shortly by Deputy Mayor and City Councilor Anna Bailão. Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor, for joining us today. And I will also be joined by our honored guest, Eve Lewis. Thank you, Eve, for being with us today. And welcome to you, to your family, to your friends who are here with us today to commemorate this important moment. The incredible gift that the families has given us pays tribute to Paul's legacy in placing heritage landmarks at the forefront of the contemporary city building that is the part of Toronto. And for you, as an alumni of U of T and our faculty, we're very proud. We thank Eve for her continued commitment to the enhancement and preservation of landmarks that reflect the history of our local communities. I also like to thank Ron Kimmel and his family. I look forward to welcoming them when they can visit the Belvedere and see the impacts of their generosity. The Paul Oberman Belvedere completes the design of our school's former front campus, a process that started under the leadership of former Dean Richard Summers, who will join us shortly to give his remarks as well. The Belvedere serves as a ceremonial and yet welcome interface between our faculty and the university community and the city and the neighborhood. Already this year, we have seen it activated as a gathering place for our students returning to campus and for professors and fellows hosting informal study sessions outdoors, and to the great distress of our lovely Jacqueline, to a few cohorts of skateboarders. We'll try to see how we can coexist. I know moving forward, this space will continue to grow to be a vital place for the community to engage with our research, academic endeavors, and public programs. And it is a very unique moment that we're able to open the space with all of you, and we very much appreciate you being with us. And now I would like to invite Deputy Mayor and City Councilor Anna Bailão to share a few words on behalf of the city.
Thank you, Dean Du. It's such a pleasure to be here, and welcome to our city. We had a brief conversation, but you already have a fan in me. You think architecture and people think of buildings. And the first thing that Dean Du tells me is that, it is about creating the habitat for people. And I was like, oh my God, I love this woman. So thank you, because for me, that's exactly what it is, and the importance that how we create this city, how we plan this city, how we build this city. It's about the people that live in the city. So having the dean speaking this language and concerning about issues such as affordability and affordable housing, it touches close to my heart. So it is great to have you here. And the City of Toronto and the University of Toronto are stronger together. We're doing more and more partnerships together, and that is why it's exciting to be here as we mark new chapters in the faculty's development and engagement with the architecture and design community. The university will surely benefit from your leadership. We hope the global connections and perspectives you bring from the United States, Europe, and Asia will influence Daniel's students and contribute to Toronto's architecture community for years to come. The value of investment in high-quality architecture and design is central to the development of Toronto's landscape. Buildings such as the North Toronto Station, known as the Summerhill LCBO, the Gooderham Flatiron Building, and the Market Street Complex serve as focal points characterizing the city's many diverse communities. The U of T St. George campus, located in the center of our city, is certainly distinct in many historic buildings, married with inspired contemporary new interpretations. I am delighted to see that this iconic 1875 Gothic revival building that has many uses, a seminary, a World War I military hospital, and the world-renowned Connaughton Medical Laboratories, has been transformed into a stunning contemporary new work of architecture for researchers, design, scholars, and students and city builders. And now the award-winning building has been enriched with the Paul Oberman Belvedere. The addition of this beautiful multi-use space will enhance public enjoyment of an iconic urban site and serve as a bridge connecting the university and the community. This location is also significant overlooking Spadina Avenue, a neighborhood where successive generations of immigrants, as you can see like me, but sometimes, the pronunciation still, of new Canadians have come to Toronto over time and settled and added to this city's prosperity and vitality, and continue to do so today. Cities are the places that build the foundations of prosperity and conditions for the creation and advancement of ideas and opportunities. As long-lasting partners, collaborations between the City of Toronto and U of T are countless and span research, art, and policy realms. The University of Toronto and City partnered throughout the pandemic on issues that matter to the future of Toronto, like air quality and internet access in low-income communities. We are partners in enhancing the public realm through Toronto's Year of Public Art. Partnerships with our strong public institutions are complemented by the commitment of leading citizens to seeing Toronto thrive. This includes dedicated philanthropics and city builders like Paul, Eve Lewis and family, and Ron Kimmel and family, and that have contributed to making and remaking the city for the benefit of future generations. So thank you so much for all your contributions. I have to read a letter that the mayor made sure that I was going to read here today. He specifically asked that do whatever remarks you want to do, but you have to read the letter. So he's in Ottawa, working with the big city mayors and advocating on behalf of our city with the federal government, but he asked me to read the following. Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address all of you. I am sorry that I cannot be with you this evening at the celebration in recognition of the late Paul Oberman and the beautiful Daniels Building at 1 Spadina Crescent. I am in Ottawa trying to advance the city's interests. Toronto is home to some of the most magnificent buildings around the world. We pride ourselves on building a city that is beautiful yet unique. Whether it's building in new spaces or preserving old ones, Toronto is home to many outstanding buildings. I want to focus on the second one, the preserving of old buildings, which continues to give our city character, acknowledges rich history, and at the same time acknowledges the growth pressures we face as Toronto continues to be a magnet for people around the world. This can only happen when we have dedicated and committed citizens who want to see this balance achieved for Toronto. Preserving old buildings takes effort and commitment. That is where Paul Oberman comes into the picture. He had the ability to see what was beautiful and possible with determination and focus, and he followed through to turn that vision into reality over and over again. He and Eve played a big role in keeping this vital balance alive in our city, which brings us to today, Toronto's John H. Daniels Faculty of Architecture, Landscape and Design at 1 Spadina Crescent, which is now the home of the new Paul Oberman Belvedere, a wonderful new civic space. While we lost Paul, his impact continues to be felt to this day. The Daniels Building is the perfect place to remember Paul and mark his legacy. Both he and Eve were early supporters of this building, and now he will be remembered forever in this space. Thank you to Eve and Ron to their generous donation in Paul's honor, which has helped transform this into a place that many can enjoy. It is projects like this that make our city a better place, and it has been people like Paul who have helped shape Toronto into the city that it is and remind us through the lasting legacy of his work of the kind of city we must build going forward. Thank you again for being here tonight, and to Dean Dew for hosting. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Sincerely, John Tory.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Your show, Richard.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm a little nervous, actually. So, good evening. Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Bailão, for being here and for your generous words. And thank you, Joan, for hosting this tonight. So I want to take a few minutes and talk about how this Paul Oberman Belvedere came to be. When I moved to Toronto, I guess it's about 12 years ago, Paul Oberman was one of the first supporters of our school that I met. Now, those of you that knew Paul would know that he was a great raconteur, and our first meeting was a long lunch. In his charming way, Paul was testing me. He asked me, well, what did I think about Toronto? Where's the good architecture? What cities did I admire? Who are the great architects? So after a couple of hours, actually, of lively back and forth, Paul leaned in and said to me, okay, I've seen the scheme you have to renovate your existing building at 230 College, which some of you will know is over there. And yes, you have an interesting, talented architect who's actually here tonight, Nadir Tirani. But that plan is going nowhere. That project's not gonna fly. Paul then continued to say that Toronto is a city on the move, a place that is just coming into its own. He said to me that the city needed our School of Architecture to have a real impact. He insisted that we needed to build something for the Daniels faculty that is so great that when someone comes to Toronto and is interested in architecture, they'll actually have no choice but to visit the school. And that our old site at 230 College would never serve that goal. So he essentially then challenged me. He said, do you have the ambition and the guts to go for something this great? So this is the end of the meal. I said, well, I demurred a bit, and I said, yes, I too thought that we should do something bigger and better, but noted that I happened to be working for a rather large conservative institution, just to kind of lower the bar a little bit. So Paul said, okay, I get that, but this was something worth fighting for, and that he wanted to help, and that he could find others to help too. And that if we worked together, we could probably find a way. So after that first meeting, I walked back to campus, and I felt really buoyed because I knew that Paul was actually right. I quickly zeroed in on this site at One Spadina, which had actually been hiding in plain sight for many of us behind a high, ugly fence. I knew that Paul had established a reputation by championing the renewal of disused and overlooked heritage buildings, as the counselor and others have referred to. And he was doing that as a way to leverage the improvement, to use the heritage buildings to leverage the improvement of the whole urban scene around these buildings. In a sense, making the past a better prologue to the future. And this project was really a kind of Woodcliff project, right? So when we lost Paul in 2011, my first thought was of Eve and their kids, and what that would mean for them. I also thought about what a loss it was for the city of Toronto, a place that then, and actually still now, needs a person like Paul, who, with the passion, the know-how, and the high standards to push for something, to push for and create a better public realm. I thought of our school, of how our school had lost an important advocate and supporter. And for me, because I so enjoyed Paul's company and his way of being, I thought of all the fun we were going to have working on this project and of the many other things we might do as comrades in arms. But after that, we persevered, and the Daniels Building at One Spadina officially opened to the public in 2017. It's won about, I think as it was mentioned, it's won about 30 design and planning awards, and is now home to 2,000 students, faculty, and staff. Actually, more than 5 times the amount of people when we started all of this. So actually, Paul was right. Sometimes when you make something great, people will come. Now, Eve regrouped and picked up the pieces there with her characteristic tenacity, running the company she founded, many of you will know, Urbanation and Market Vision. But she also, because that wasn't enough, took on the role of president and CEO of Woodcliff. And Eve is now forged her own path as a developer of inspiring projects in the city, one of which has just opened recently south of where we're standing right now. So when One Spadina started to take shape, I went about looking for a special place to commemorate Paul. I knew that Paul had wanted to build a restaurant over the old tracks that span Yonge Street, next to his project at the old Summerhill train station, what they call the LCBO Palace now, where the Christmas tree that Paul and Eve put up still stands, right? So actually, that project would have created a beautiful view down Yonge Street, and that's exactly what a Belvedere is, right? Or what a Belvedere does. So this place had to be the site. And when I approached Eve to make a significant gift to create this Belvedere, she didn't hesitate. She asked Paul's partner, Ron Kimmel, to participate, and together they stepped up to help our campaign for this whole project and to build the Paul Oberman Belvedere. So what exactly then is a Belvedere? Well, in this case, it's a viewing platform, it's a front porch, and it's a contemporary civic space set against the historical south facade of old One Spadina. At its essence, this Belvedere recaptures One Spadina Crescent's original function before this building was even here as a prospect to Lake Ontario. And in fact, this is the only site that still has that prospect in all of Toronto. So that's why we had to build it. So its civic location, its timeless materials, its generous dimensions have been conceived to honor Paul and his passion for and commitment to building a better Toronto. So Eve, I'm sorry it took so long to get this done. But here it is to stay, and I think it truly has a unique pride of place. So our community, as Juan and others mentioned, is already loving this spot, and I'm pretty sure Paul would like it too. So before I bring Eve up to say a few words, I want to close by thanking the incredible team that helped make this project a reality. First, our architects, Nada, including the architect that led the design of this entire site, Nader Tirani. Nader, I think you're over here. Raise your glass. Give him a round of applause. And I also want to call out Nada's project manager, Richard Lee, who couldn't be here with us tonight. I want to thank Somerville Construction, our builders, did a great job, including Alexia McLeod, who's the partner and executive vice president there. Our project manager at U of T, Roberta Matarazzo, and my colleague, Stephen Fong. Where are you, Stephen? Who, along with me, represented the faculty in this. I want to thank our colleague at the faculty, David Bowick. I think you're over here. Our engineer, well, more than our engineer, David Bowick of Blackwell. And I want to make a special shout out to Jacqueline Rafflab, our advancement director, for helping us all push this project forward. So let's give a round of applause to all these actors. So, of course, we have a number of builders here tonight, and they will know that while a project like this may appear simple and minimalistic, it's actually required a concerted effort by many. So thanks to everyone that was involved. And by the way, just so you know, there are more things to come. There's a beautifully designed tent pavilion, which fits in a series of poles for events, and an elegant set of pop-up bars. So if you're planning some big events in the future, you might think that this would be a great spot. So that's it for me. I'm going to call Eve up to say a few words.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I literally am going to say a few words because I think everybody's talked to you about this, but it is, I really wanted to thank Richard and Jacqueline for really including me in the process, and including in terms of the design and the features and the stone and being able to choose it. And it was, I think it's really, really in keeping with what Paul would have loved. I think it's great that he's out in center space and an entrance to a building that he loved design. And we all know that he thought he was a junior architect. And in fact, many of you have worked with him, and Shirley and Bruce, I think, worked with him on his first project. And I'm sure that it was quite the experience, because Paul loved design and he loved quality and he loved making a difference. And I think this is really in keeping with how he would have liked this building. And you've done such an amazing job, in terms of taking the heritage part and beautifully adding a very, very modern, striking, embracing addition to it. And I think having the modern element at the very front of a heritage building really sets off the heritage building in a way that is very difficult to. And, even the landscape, everything is just stunningly beautiful. And I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart, including all of my kids that are here, and unfortunately the ones that couldn't make it, who all of us have been, this has been something that we've all waited for very patiently, and being very grateful that it came off so beautifully. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Eve. Thank you for being, and Luna, thank you for being a city builder. Thank you for being an advocate. And thank you for your generosity and your continued support of the school, the students, and everything that we believe in, which is the sense of community, the importance of history, importance of heritage, and the importance of the fresh, the new, the innovative, and the next. So it is just a really wonderful way to be able to pay tribute to the memory of Paul. And for those of you who have a glass, and those of you who don't, maybe I can recommend you get one. I would like to make a toast. There you go. I did move from China to the U.S. when I was 12. I come from a long family of Northerners in China, and you drink for everything, especially in moments of celebration. And I would like to raise a toast to the memory of Paul Oberman, to his family, to every one of you for being with us here today, and to looking forward to even more and better and stronger communities that we can all be a part of. Thanks. Thank you, and please, we've been in lockdown for a year and a half, and we have taken considerable risk within a conservative institution. I'm only quoting Richard. His words, not mine. We took a certain risk to be able to host this in person because we believe in the importance of space. We believe in the importance of architecture. We believe in the importance of human connections together. So please take the next hour to enjoy each other's company, to have something to drink, something to eat, and to enjoy this beautiful night in Toronto. Thanks for joining us.